Hi everyone, happy Friday. Usually I do these on Sunday, but I thought I would mix it up a bit this week. We are coloring out of Wanderlust by George Toufexis. It's a color by number book. I had planned to show the whole picture, but because memory on my computer was low, space was low on my computer, I deleted a whole bunch of videos and turned out I accidentally deleted the first half of this video. So this is only going to cover the second half of it, and I'm going to go ahead and let it run normal speed. Just to give y'all a sense, like the second half of this picture took me almost an hour and a half. Usually I would say it'd take me I'd say these George Toufexis pictures usually take me, if they're not super simple pictures, 3 to 4 hours to complete. So I am using mostly taotree markers. I do toss a couple Copics in here because my taotrees were running dry and I was too lazy to grab my backup set. My Copics were right here, so I was like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and grab those. Yeah, I had a lot of videos planned this week. As you can see, all that's kind of went out the window for a number of reasons. One, the main reason is work. Work has been absolutely redonkulous in terms of just busyness. I have had a whole lot on my plate. I am almost at the 6-month mark at my job, and my team requires so I mentioned I had to get a special, it's called a Marketo certification. It's a Marketo business professional or something, like certified business professional or something like that. So they require within the first 6 months you get that Marketo certification. And that was the big one I was studying for in January. That was so insanely busy and everything, and I managed to pass it. Then the second thing you have to do is go through like an internal certification process. So I do email marketing, and in order to actually be able to schedule emails, you have to be a certain type of email, like, I don't know, master or something. I'm trying to think of something. It's not calling what it is. They have a specific name for it for the company and everything. It's a small group of people that can actually, there's a lot of people that can build, but only a small group can send. You have to go through a lot of training for it. You have to go through participating in shadows, doing QAs on emails, and going through the process to achieve this internal certification status. And my team requires that everyone receive this status. Not all the email teams do, but the one I'm on does. So you have to get it within 6 months. And again, that was part of the overall process. And so my 6-month mark is Monday. It also involves another exam that I have to take on Monday. And so, been scrambling. I've got 2 more QA type things I need to do today. I'm waiting on, it has to be like an email another team member's building, so I'm trying to wait on those. I think there's a couple days leeway here. It's thankfully a couple days. It's not like super scary things will happen. I hope not, at least, if I'm not able to absolutely get everything done, because Monday's technically one day after my hire date. So I have like Monday and Tuesday. It's towards the end of the week where if I didn't have everything done, it would probably start to cause some issues. But anyway, so a lot of pressure. Because I've only been doing this 6 months for this company and learning their ins and outs. It's a little crazy. I don't know. I feel, what am I trying to say here? I feel um, nervous about the whole thing because you just take on a lot more responsibility when you do this. And I don't know. At 6 months, I don't know if I feel quite ready for that, but it is what it is. And so this is a requirement. And so I have to suck it up and deal. And yeah, so that's why one of the reasons I've been so busy the last few weeks. Another reason is a couple of my projects are big, like ongoing email initiatives, that programs that are being started up this year. Um, and One of the things is getting like your email audience determined. And so we've been really heavily into that the last few weeks with one of the email programs. And the system we use is not giving the numbers we're expecting. So and it's a very cumbersome system to pull it all together. These are very specific type email programs that are being launched. So it's like a very specific type of group of people we're reaching out to. And the way you have to build the audience is a little, it's, well, like everything seems pretty convoluted. But last Friday I was trying to do those. And so we had high winds last Friday, and the power kept going on and off. Like, it was very unusual. We get winds like that around here. Like, there was a local student in the county school system that was out cleaning up debris after the wind. And unfortunately, a tree on their property gave way, ended up landing on her, and unfortunately, she did not survive. So it's like, I mean, we actually had a casualty from at least one casualty from this. It was blowing cars all around the road. It was terrible. And just like I said, very weird for this area, like 70-mile-per-hour winds. And so I was trying to get in here, and I have to work within a limit anyway because the system likes to reset every now and then, and you can't just save your work as you go along. So you may lose 20, 30 minutes worth of effort. So I was trying to build these, and like the power kept going out. And of course, every time the power went out, I lost my work. And after 2 or 3 times of doing that, I said, okay, as much as I don't want to do it, I'm going to have to work Saturday to do these because I need them by Monday. It was a set deadline, and I was like, I can't do this and with the power going on and off. I will never get these built. So I had to put in like about 8 to 10 hours last weekend of work, every day this week except for today. I think yesterday, actually, no, I logged off at 7 yesterday. Normally log off at 6, but every day this week I've logged off at either 8 or 7 at night, just trying to stay ahead of everything. And I am extremely worn out. I'm extremely tired. I am not feeling well at all today. Um, that's one of the reasons I was like, I could have technically taken the exam today, but I was like, I just wait till Monday. I, at this time, have no need to work this weekend. In fact, as long as things go well on Monday, I'm really hoping I can maybe take next Friday off. Just for all the extra hours I've been putting in. Because I don't think I'm going to be able to log off early today, unfortunately. And I'm so burnt out. I'm so just burnt out. It's just been that. It's been life in general, and just, that's all I've been thinking about. Seriously, 24 hours a day has been work just in the last few weeks. Um, they what was I going to say? Okay. So, yeah, it's because of that. I just simply have not had, because I've been working so late, I've had no time in the evenings. I get up in the morning, I'm exhausted. I actually had an early morning appointment with my rheumatologist, which I'm going to talk about this week. So I didn't have time in the mornings, and I hadn't had time. Plus, I was going to do some flip throughs because I was supposed to get about 5 books on Sunday. I still have, like, it was going to be 2 flip through videos and never got them. Very unusual. Showed it was delivered. Turns out, our local, I didn't think they post office delivered at all on Sundays, but evidently the next town over will take on routes here on Sundays. I guess they got a part-time person. And so we get stuff on Sunday sometimes from the postal service. And show delivered. Waited a few days because I thought it was my local one, and I was like, we didn't get mail for like 3 or 4 days. And I was like, okay, hopefully he's not sick. You know, it wasn't a big deal. I wasn't mad. My carriers are great. That's the one thing I'll give this town is, at least in my experience, the postal service has been awesome here. So, I so I called them, and so I called the post office before I went and put in the reorder for the books, and just to check, I was like, has he been out sick? Has anything been going on? And they were super nice. They actually called and checked with the carrier. And it was so funny because even the carrier was like, no, she just hasn't had any mail the last few days. He said it is very unusual. If that tells y'all anything. I'm surprised he didn't knock on the door like, are y'all okay? Did she die? And and plus I had a big package coming Thursday, so I just wanted to make sure, it was actually going to get here, because that one was an expensive one and I didn't want to risk missing that. So they explained that the next town over does the Sunday routes, and they looked in their system and they're like, it shows it's delivered and there weren't any issues. And they said, have you ever had issues with people taking stuff out of your mailbox? And I'm like, no, not in the 17 years I've lived here. I've never had this happen, as far as I know. Now, occasionally, who knows, but as far as I know, no. And so I had to reorder the books off of Amazon. They were great. No problem whatsoever, just because this doesn't happen very often. And the only thing is, when she reordered them, I didn't get a choice for shipping day, and it says they're going to be here Sunday. And I honestly would have rather picked another day. So hopefully they will actually get here this Sunday. And I swear, if I get 2 sets of these books on Sunday, y'all, I guess we're going to be doing a giveaway, because but like Alexander Franzisa's new Spring Mandalas book is in there. Sorry, Leroy's in my way, so hard for me to look. I need to put that on my wish list. I could technically go ahead and order it. Y'all, my buying lately. Yeah, I got a Coco Wild book, an Alexander Danneman book, Woodland Animals. I got Deborah Muller's most recent one, Luna, and a Circulism Art Books, Wildcats. And yeah, so they should be here Sunday. The plan is to hopefully do that flip through on Sunday. And let me pause this for just a second. I'll be right back. You won't even know I'm gone. Alright, I'm back. What was I talking about? Probably work. If you hear noise in the background, I've got a heater going. I was trying to keep the door open for the cats today, and it is pretty chilly. So I had to take a break and get some stuff done. And so it's like later in the evening. I hate to post this as late as it's probably going to wind up being, but I want to get something up today, because I probably want to post some flip throughs tomorrow. And well, I might wait on the content. Well, then I'll have more flip throughs on Sunday. So I'd like to start the week not being super behind. One thing I am going to work towards. Okay. So, one of the problems I had and have with so I got done all I needed to do today for all the certification stuff and everything I needed. The only thing I have left is the exam to take on Monday. And if that goes and everything's accepted, fingers crossed, another milestone at work achieved. And I will officially hit my 6 months, and trust and believe when I say it feels like I've been there for years. Like, it feels like double that at least. It does not feel like it's only been 6 months. So anyway, sorry, I had to grab a drink. So yeah, work has been, it's been pretty rough. Just like I said, it would be. I mean, my guess is it stays, you know, moderately busy most of the time anyway. But because I have all these things I have to check off being a new employee and certain achievements I have to hit, it's made it particularly difficult, especially these last 2 or 3 weeks. So I posted on Facebook a picture of a rough looking cat and basically was like, it's been, last 2 weeks have been something else. And it's the truth. I consider myself the one thing, I'm so insecure, but the one thing that I usually feel strongly about is that I'm pretty smart. Maybe not as sharp as I used to be just because of the fibro and the brain fog and the age and the getting older and this and that, but I do feel like I am a pretty smart person. Always have been that way my whole life. And let me tell y'all, when like I'm struggling with concepts, like it's just, this has been, I don't think I've been this challenged since I went to get my master's degree in teaching, my teaching certification. And I don't know, even putting together like my final teaching, I had to do this massive teaching packet project that included like all my student teaching information, lesson plans. Like there was a big hole to do that I stayed up straight for like 24 hours to finish and turn in. And it, like I have it still upstairs even though like I'm not using it at all as a teacher. Like I, that thing will, that thing can be thrown away after I die because that was such a massive undertaking that I refuse to just discard it. Like if I ever doubt myself before this, I could have just went back to that thing and held it for a minute and been like, you did this. And I had, you know, practicals and exams I had to take to get certain certifications and stuff then. Like that was an extremely, and I was going through a divorce and had went through a divorce at that point in my life and was starting to date again and stuff. So like that was, I wouldn't say this is the hardest thing I've ever been through in my life because like I said, that divorce was pretty rough. Both my divorces were rough. So I can't say this is the absolute hardest thing I've ever done in my life in terms of big events. But like since my master's degree, I don't think I've worked quite so hard. And like I said, even though I feel like I pick up things pretty well at this point, like even this has been hard to do. So, but this company is known for like a very, and it was true, a very difficult interviewing process, a very difficult hire, well, challenging hiring process, and like demanding high performance. And I just, I've got to figure out a balance because I mean, this was different. This was, you know, sometimes you just have to do what you got to do to achieve goals, right? Like I have no problem. Like the past few weeks, as hard as they've been, I knew, you know, at the end of it, I'd get done. And at one point, it just, I hit this state of just perpetual exhaustion, but yet just, there were times I got mad and frustrated, but like just in the last week, it moved to grudging acceptance, I guess. Like, I'm too tired to be mad about stuff anymore, so we're just going to power through this because it's got to be done. So, like, I've been there, I've done this before. I am one that can push, especially in a condensed timeline, to get things done. Um, the thing is, though, that I need to be very careful about is that I don't do this, like, keep this pace, try to make myself keep this pace long term. Like, this is not, I cannot continue at this pace for like the rest of my career. There's no way. There's got to be moments of this and moments of being productive, but not just overwhelmingly perpetual exhaustion level, right? Like, I've got to have a good work life balance. And I just, during these periods of time, I get so focused on work, like everything else kind of falls to the wayside. And I mean, I've been eating like one meal a day all week just because I don't even stop for lunch. I just keep going. And I know that's not good. I know that's not healthy for me. And, but like I said, short term, it's fine. I just can't, after this, I need to have a period where I get a better balance for a while and I give myself a chance to recover from this. I mean, that's just, it's just reality. I mean, there's no one, I don't know of anyone in my life that could keep this pace going for like, forever. There's just no way. So, so yeah, enough of that. I feel like, again, that's because my brain is just connected to work, so it's all talk about work. But let's talk about other stuff. So, one of the things, so I'm going to talk about a probably controversial topic, which I typically don't do, and then we'll round out with like how the cats are doing, how my appointment with the rheumatologist went. Y'all already know that's going to be some, and some other stuff. I probably could have done, no. It would have been fun to do a live stream this weekend, but trust and believe, I'm just not mentally there for it. Maybe in a couple weeks if things calm down, but like, no, that just would have been putting too much on myself. Would have been fun. I think this stuff I'm talking about would be really fun to do with a color and chat. I mean, with a live stream, because I like to hear other people's viewpoints on it. So, I mean, feel free to comment below. As long as you stay cool, meaning you don't get ugly or condescending or smartass in the comments to me or anybody. I don't care. You can agree or disagree with me on stuff. That's fine. But if you're going to be obnoxious about it, like, I may leave the comment or I may just take it out. And you know what? You don't like it, you can go talk about it on your own channel and create your, you want drama, then you go do drama on your channel. So there's conversation and there's debate, and then there's just wanting to stir the pot and gaslight, and that I don't abide by. So anyway, and y'all are like, good Lord, what is this going to be about? And when I talk about it, you're going to be like, oh, this isn't a big deal. For some of y'all, I think. So I've stated before, one of my favorite things about coloring, and probably one of the biggest reasons I continue to do it, is I absolutely adore the coloring community. Like, I, again, have said, like 20 years of being a part of, online communities. I'm really dating myself here. And being very well versed in like Twitter and TikTok and social media and Facebook. Like, a lot of communities are like a huge amount of drama, and there's always drama going on. It's always people being ugly, people being judgmental. Like, yeah, and I'm not here for it. Like, I don't know, occasionally, sometimes you just get drawn into it. It's like almost like reality TV, and you grab the popcorn and stuff. But for the most part, I just, a little bit every now and then kind of kind of scratching that itch of, that drama that we all apparently need in our life just a little bit. But I just don't like constant drama and constant to do. Um, and the coloring community is like really just honestly positive. Like, I don't think mentally. I told my husband the other night because um, somebody I follow online. If you guys are familiar, this is gonna be sad. Just heads up. Fast forward like a couple minutes. Um, I can't think of her channel name, but there's a lady on YouTube and on TikTok and stuff. She owns like Oriental short hairs, and she's got one called Dobby. I can't remember what she called him, like a goblin or something like that, like Dobby the honking cat. And when he when he meowed, he honked, and it was the cutest thing. Like, he look, the Oriental short hairs look wild. Like, they're still cats. They're still, I would still love one if I had it, but like, I don't know if I personally would go seek them out. But everybody has their preference, and she loves Oriental short hairs. And Dobby was awesome because he honked, and she had others, and they would all like. I thought it was so cute because they would all cuddle together, and like, none of my cats want to cuddle like that, and they would all like pile together, and it was just the cutest thing. Anyway, she had one pass away last year, Stash, and I could tell she even today really struggles with that because of just how much she cares about her cats. And unfortunately, her cat Dobby, the honking one, passed away last week, and she is devastated, and I completely get it. And it just, you get this feeling in your gut. You're like, oh my gosh, and it's sad to me, but like, I just go back to all those times I've lost cats, and it's just like, I just, you wish you don't. I don't wish that pain on anybody. I wish everybody could see their pets, their dogs and their cats like I see mine, and know the love and the comfort that they bring. And I would wish that for everybody. But I do not wish the pain of losing those beloved pets on. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. It is just, and there's just, I mean, really, it helps to know others understand. Like, you guys, when I first started the channels, when Felix passed away, and Felix was the very first cat I ever owned, and I hadn't lost a cat in about 10 or 11 years at that point. And of course, he was the first one I had ever gotten, and I don't think I could have gotten through without y'all. Like, the encouragement and the love and the support you guys gave me. Like, the people in this town, for the most part, a lot of them do love their pets, but I cannot tell you how many strays and unfixed strays. I already have 2 more that have showed up at the house. Like, people out in country areas, in a lot of cases, don't care about their pets on a major level, and they just don't get it. So, like, I felt, not that I get out and really socialize much in my community anyway, because we disagree on a whole lot of levels. So it was being able to reach out to the online community that, and the coloring community really lines up in some cases with the pet community. And just the support, just, yeah, y'all really got me through that. I just don't know. And I lost, Cal like 2 months later, and then there was that outdoor cat that I was befriending that got sick as well. So I lost like 3 cats in 2 months, and it was just, I don't think I could have got through it without y'all. So support and everything, it is really, really important to give to people who are going through that. And this goes for loss of pet. This could be loss of a loved one, But it's also like you feel helpless because you can offer condolences and you can offer support like that, and listen to them if it's somebody close to you, and talk with them and stuff. But really past that, like, it's like you can't physically heal their heart, and it's hard to see, even with somebody that I know online. And I've never even like messaged this woman or know anything about her, but like I feel like just because she gets it when it comes to pets, and cats in particular, like I feel a connection to her, and I just like wish I could heal her heart and make it better. But it's anyway. Say all that to say that I don't even know why I got on that subject. Anyway, the coloring community, like, I guess because I was trying to make that point of the coloring community, even in other situations when things have happened. Like, if you're following Colorfully Optimistic, Corey had a situation happen with two of her huskies that got out, and they got, well, I don't want to talk about it too much because, again, you're coming back 2 minutes later. You're like, why are we still on sad news? Two of her dogs got shot, and they were huskies, and so she may have taken the video down, I think, because people are assholes, excuse my language. And even though the majority of the coloring community is considerate, there are always bad apples in the bunch. There's always people who are going to show their ass, and there are people outside the coloring community that are going to show their ass. And I completely understand why she would just be like, F this and take it down. So, but like the majority of the comments I saw were really, supportive and positive. So, like, you guys are positive to people for non-coloring reasons, and like, I really, that means a lot. And so the coloring community, as I'm saying, for the most part, is one of the most positive type communities I've been a part of. However, again, anytime you get a group of people together, whether it's online or in real life, you're always going to have people that want to stir the pot, that want to gaslight, that stir up controversy, that cause issues. And so the coloring community occasionally has a kerfluffle, as I like to call it, where somebody makes a judgment or somebody makes a snap statement about something, about how they feel, and next thing you know, everybody loses their drawers over it. And I typically stay out of that for the most part, or people become coloring friends and somebody starts some shit and the other person gets upset and it just turns into a big battle. Like, again, you get human beings in a group and it's just inevitably some drama is going to happen, no matter how positive the community is, because people are just people and things get misconstrued. Some people are jerks and they hide being a jerk real well, and like, so there's been things that's happened, like I said, friends that either there's a misunderstanding or some type of drama happens between them that gets aired out. Somebody makes a controversial judgmental statement about other people's habits, and that becomes a thing. If you've been around a while, you can think of many examples here of what I'm talking about. But again, as a whole, we're not too bad. However, in saying that, and for the most part, I stay out of it because I'm over here in my corner. I don't want to get involved. I just want to color, right? I just want to color and have fun. And I try really hard not to. I try to use this as free therapy so I can talk about how I feel, but I also try not to go too deep into how I feel because part of me, I don't want to offend people and I don't want to cause drama, but there's this other part of me too that's just so tired of people acting like fools. And this really has nothing with what I'm about to say, but anyway, controversy. So this is really the first one that's come up and it's not even, I don't feel like a real big controversy maybe yet, but I've seen it on a number of channels, and I'm familiar with it already through Twitter. So I feel like this might be something that becomes a thing and people make judgments and this and that. So I'm going to preface all this by saying that um, you do you. Um, I'm mostly just sounding out thoughts here. I don't know how I feel about this one way or another, really, truly, at this point. I'll tell you how I feel about it and what I'm probably going to do. But just keep in mind, this may very well change, and I'm open to hearing other people's thoughts, and there could always be something somebody says that makes me change my mind. Okay, so saying all that, the reason I wanted to talk about this before I do my next flip through. So I had saw on somebody's channel them doing a flip through of a book from it's called Diana Good, and it was a mouse book. Warrior mice, that's it. And it looked like just real deep looking grayscale images. Like the art just looked fantastic. And so I go and I look and I snapped up 4 of the books from her. And those are what I'm going to flip through tomorrow. However, the thing I hadn't realized, because I've picked up a few books now that I suspect are like this. Somebody had mentioned in another channel they were doing flip throughs of books, and they're saying, I know this is all about AI generated art, by the way. They're like, I know this is AI generated art, but I really like this book. And for a minute there, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, huh? And so I go and look, and I click the links to the books on the Amazon site, and I scour through, and I don't see anything that says it's AI generated. And I was like, okay, did they ask the publisher, like, what, how do they know, right? And so I was looking at the images, and I was kind of like, okay, I can kind of see. And I was like, I don't know if AI generated coloring pages have really gotten that far. I mean, I've seen some, and again, when I was talking about Twitter, there's a lot of controversy on there about AI generated art. And like, I see art and it being AI generated, and I can see, like, it being a thing, right? And I was like, surely the coloring pages haven't got to this point. And so I started doing some digging. I started looking at some YouTube videos of people that were showing how to create coloring pages in AI generated software. And, I started to realize that, we really have gotten to that point. Like, where it used to be AI generated images with, like, oh my gosh, Leroy. AI generate images, like, you could tell because, like, half the, they'd be missing fingers on their hand, or like their eyes would be, they'd only have one eye, or like there'd be pictures of animals in the picture, but like half the animals missing. Like, it was pretty obvious when you saw AI generate art, but it's getting more and more advanced to the point where you can actually generate some legitimate looking pages that don't have those kind of weird errors on them. And so, like I said, I watched some YouTube videos about it, and I'm like, this is really kind of a thing. There are people that can sit there and generate, but I was like, can they generate so many consistent images that they create a coloring book from scratch? And again, I look through these books, and I'm like, maybe, because a lot of these, in some of these, the pages look real similar, honestly. Like in this one I'm just looking at. I'm looking at Royal Cats by Diana Good. And as I'm looking at it, there are a lot of these images that look kind of similar, very similar. They just have different things on them. And so I was like, okay, so, AI generated coloring pages are, if they're not actually a thing right now, and I was like, I just wanted to make sure, like, are people getting AI generated confused with digital art? Because we're used to coloring book artists for the most part that like hand draw their images, but there are a lot of them that digitally create art as well. And there's some that hand draw on tablets and stuff, and so I was like, surely they're not confusing. Maybe some of these are legitimately like digital art, digitally created art. And so, I went sleuthing and like I realized that some of the books I've shown you guys, from Clarissa Publishing and Karen Morris in particular, have that look about them that I think a lot of people are associating with AI generated image coloring books. And so, and again, it just hadn't crossed my mind that, and you would think me being a tech person it would have, but I've been a little distracted the last few months, let's just say. That Karen Morris, when I showed you with all those dragons, I was like, man, this is incredible. And then, like, now, I'm not saying for sure any of these artists, publishers, whatever they are, I'm not 100% saying that what they have is AI generated coloring books, because as far as I could tell when I looked at their sites and when I looked at their author page, artist pages on Amazon, when I looked at the page links on Amazon, nowhere did it say these were AI generated images. So I'm not going to say for sure if a book is AI generated, because until that is made clear, because I don't want to accidentally, I don't want to, since some people view that negatively, I don't want to cause an issue with that particular artist if their stuff is actually, legit, right? So I hesitate to use that term because it is a negative term for some, because AI art is becoming a controversial subject. And I have a lot of artist friends, and for them, I can't speak for all of them, but for a lot of them, AI generated art and AI generated coloring pages is a real concern for them. And it's just, for the art community and the coloring community, I feel like it's something that's going to become more and more of a thing. Like, I think we've just gotten to the point where they can create some amazing looking images without a lot of these obvious issues. And so a lot of these people are taking advantage of it by using these tools to create these pages, and then they're creating the books and they're uploading the art and they're calling it, their art. And there's, again, I don't, the laws have not kept up with technology, and that's obvious to anyone. So I feel like it's going to be real interesting to see in the future, like, are they going to tackle who really owns AI generated art, right? Like, I mean, technically you just click some buttons on a computer. So I feel leery that you could publish those images, get those images self-published under your name and claim them as your own. Like, I feel like there's a copyright issue here. And so it will be interesting to see how that plays out. But as far as my thoughts on it, again, I've kind of went, down the rabbit hole of, oh, AI generated art is killing artists and their livelihood, and I don't want any part of it. But then I also look at these books and I'm like, I'm conflicted on it. So, like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Because, like, to me, these feel like they're just another part. They're just another type of offering of coloring book. Like, I mean, we're all familiar, and especially when 4 years ago when I first started coloring, or 5 years ago almost now, there were, and there still are, a lot of companies that use stock images. So they'll either use other artist imagery, or they'll purchase a license to stock images, and they'll use those stock images and print books like that. and we're all real familiar with those. Um, and those all have a certain look about them, right? And a lot of times, and they're still there. They're still part of the coloring community. They still, I feel like, have their place, but have they taken over, like, self, actually, hand drawing artists and digital graphic artists and stuff? Like, no, I don't feel like that's the case at all. I feel like people that just start out coloring, who may not know otherwise, probably end up picking a few of those books up. They get tired of the same old look about them, and then they go to other, actual, like, established artists and new to the community artists and stuff. So I feel like AI generated coloring pages are going to go the same way. Like, I feel like you pick up a few books of them, and now that I know what I'm looking for, I go back and look at some of those others, and I realize they all have a certain look about them, if that's the case. Same with the stock imagery. They all kind of have the same look about them. And the thing is, the ones that are, and this is the kicker for me, the ones that use stock imagery, almost always, they have to note that they're using stock imagery, I think, or usually, like, Amazon will pull them. This is the key. Amazon's got to start making these artists that use AI generated art list their, either put on their books or list on the site that it's AI generated art. Like, I feel like that is the key here. I feel like they're going to go the same way. They all have a very similar look about them. And, like, for me, I have maybe 6 or 7 of them now. I honestly am good with that. Like, I might end up owning about 10 of them, but because they all kind of have a similar look about them right now, like, are they going to take over my coloring book buying and take away from the artists that I know and love? Like, no, absolutely not. Like, I've got some of them just because I love that, I want that little bit of variety, and I think they're beautiful books. But are they going to replace... Oh, you guys can see the shadow here. Scamper joined me for a while I was coloring today, so I thought that was really sweet. I might have moved the camera over and I just didn't notice sitting here looking at it to show her. But do I think it's going to replace, regular coloring book artists? No. I think it's just going to become a novelty, just like the stock imagery is. The key here, I feel like, is informing the consumer. And I feel like the biggest key here is making sure whoever's buying the book understands, is this hand drawn? Is this graphic art? Is this AI generated art? Is it stock imagery? Like, I feel like having to list those is key and is critical here. So that if a customer truly doesn't want to buy a book that has stock photography, or doesn't want to buy a book that has AI generated images, then they're informed from the get-go, and they don't get, they don't accidentally pick up a book that they didn't want, to support in the first place. Like, I feel like that's the key piece here. However, I say all that. So I'm like, I'll have these as a novelty. I don't see any issue with getting those books myself. Like I said, I don't feel like as a whole they're going, like, I've heard some people just act like it's a super judgmental, controversial thing, and I guess if you want to be judgmental about it, then so be it. I mean, I get the artist friends. Like, I get as an artist you have an issue with it, and I get as a person who supports artists, you don't want to do a lot that's going to take away from those artists. But, like, are they really going to take away, or is this going to be just another... We have books over here with stock photography. We have books over here where, like, Jade Summer at one point would... Jade Summer and Coloring Book Cafe. numerous times have published books without acknowledging the actual artist of the books. Like, we don't, they're using another artist's work and the artist is contracted with them, but they don't specify who the artist is. So how, is that okay? That's not really giving credit to the artist, right? So, like, this is a real slippery slope of things I could go down. This is why I don't do controversy. But, like, I feel like this could further, like, the more you dig at this, like, scab, the more you're gonna find than you're looking for, because this could unearth a whole lot of issues. But I say all that just to go back around and say that I get why people are upset about it, but at least in the coloring community side of things, I don't think this is going to have a huge impact. Now, I could be wrong, but again, I've been around for 5 years, and in the beginning, really a lot. The thing is, sometimes I feel like those books actually inspire other artists to create books and do things differently. Because when we first started with coloring books, like, I'm gonna tell you, the market was really saturated with, like, stock photography type books in the beginning. Like, extremely so. And it wasn't until people started wanting something different that, you had Joanna Basford, of course, but, like, just think of all the new artists that have come on since then, like Alexander Franzese and Joshua Dunbar, and or two I can think of specifically, but, like, so many new artists have come onto the market. Akira Shishneva, like, because of the interest in coloring, it opened up a whole new market of possibilities for artists that draw their own art. And so I don't feel like, stock photography books are still around, but I don't feel like they make up the glut of the coloring book market. If anything, I think people are less likely to get those these days. So I feel like the same way it's going to go with AI generated art. You're going to have some books like it once people really start seeing. Now, it may get smarter and it may get different, and it's probably going to only get smarter from here. And so if you start getting a lot of variety of images, and I could be wrong, I mean, again, I am no expert, but I feel like I've been around long enough to see trends and to see, at least in the coloring book section, I don't think this is going to have as much of an impact as it is on the greater art community. Like, I'm not even talking about just actual art that people buy for their homes and things like that. Like, I feel like that's a whole nother argument to be had. But I guess I'm going to flip through these Diana Good books tomorrow. And I'm going to keep them. And I'm going to probably color in them. And I'm going to post about it when I do. And I'm going to probably color in these other books that I own. But am I going to be buying a bunch of these books? No, probably not. And you'll see tomorrow. Like, until I start seeing artists having to acknowledge that they use AI generated art, if I am under the impression that that's what they're doing, then I probably won't buy it. I mean, I'm not going to say never, because, oh, there's Scamper. I'm not going to say never, but I do much prefer overall the look of hand-drawn art when I'm coloring. I have certain style. Like, everybody has certain styles and things they like, right? And super saturated grayscale can be difficult for me, which a lot of these AI generated images have, suspected AI generated images have, which can kind of kill when you're using markers, because especially if you use dark colors and stuff, it just sometimes doesn't translate very well. So, and who knows who has been using them. Like, I feel like this has gone farther back than just like December. Like, I wonder about some of these books that look like they're hand drawn art, but were actually early on AI generated images. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Like, you could have assumed you picked up books that weren't. I mean, I'm not trying to make anybody like frantic and going back through their collection, but I'm just saying, like what you like. Just, I get why artists don't like it, and I know one in particular mentioned mandala books you have to be careful about, because mandalas in particular are some that could be generated very easily, even in the past. Might have been Doodle Robot that was talking about that, I think. So like, I get it from an artist's perspective why they don't like it, and I get why other people don't like it. But like, if it's not your thing, just, why you gotta be so ugly to people that like what they like, right? Like, that's the part I don't get. That is the one complaint I have about, well, this could be crafting, this could be coloring, this could be anything. It's like, sometimes people get locked into what they like and what they prefer, and if you like something different, they just look down their nose at you. And I just, why? Like, what does it affect your, how does it affect your life if I like something you don't? Like, um I like big, bold line art. Um I'll occasionally buy art that has thin lines or like no lines in some cases. Like, I'll buy it sometimes because I think it's pretty, but is that something I gravitate to? No, I prefer the big, bold, black lines in art because I like using markers. But, there's going to be people that don't like that you do that. They prefer art with no lines. But, like, in their head, they're like, well, what I like, that other type of art just, it isn't real art. And that's not, like, why? Why do we do this, people? Like, just, YouTube is full of, there are literally dozens of us colorists. Like, more than dozens. Like, I can't keep up with everybody now. I could barely keep up 5 years ago. But trust and believe, you could throw a rock and hit a color. It's not that I recommend that, but like, if you're on somebody's site and you don't like that they have a certain type of book or a certain type, like, there's the search bar, there's your YouTube homepage, like, just go on and be like, okay, let them live their life and just go on about your business. Like, why do you gotta gaslight? Why do you gotta be judgmental and just, I don't know. Sometimes I think people are just bored. They're just bored and they want to cause trouble because they want something interesting in their life. And maybe that's why it drives me crazy, because I'm just so tired all the time. Like, I don't even have time to color, barely. Like, why would I take the time and effort? I tell y'all, sometimes I get worked up about stuff. I'm not saying I don't, but like this whole deal with the AI art. At first, I was just like, oh, how dare they? How dare they? But then I kind of just stopped and I let it stew for a while, and I just kind of was thinking about it and thinking about how it will impact and and anyway, so this was a really convoluted thing to just come around and say, like what you like. Don't apologize. Please don't feel like you gotta apologize. I know some people, I'm not gonna name names, but some people were just apologizing because they're showing AI generated, supposedly, again, I gotta put that word in front of it, supposedly AI generated pages and books, and they're apologizing for it. I'm like, don't apologize for it. If you like it, it's your money. Like, you do you, boo. Like, just, nobody else is in charge of your money. Jim Bob over here, who looks down on people that color outside the lines, is not paying your salary. He's not paying your rent. He's not paying your utilities. So F him, fuck him, excuse my language, and you do you, and just let's just be kinder to other people, please. Like, everybody just gets so worked up on and so nosy about how everybody else is living their lives these days. And I could go take this to any level in society right now, you know. But I am a live and let live person. And if I like a certain thing and you like a certain thing that I don't like, I don't sweat it. I just go on with my existence. And again, I can see this is a little different because this, a lot of people perceive, again, this is a controversial thing, and I feel like it's something that should be monitored. I feel like copyright law needs to be looked at because I don't feel like people should be able to publish. Yeah, I'm looking at this book and it just says from the publisher. And that's it. It doesn't say anything about how these images came about. And so that's where I'm like, I don't feel like that's right. If I feel like you should have to specify if you're using stock imagery, if you have to specify that, you should have to specify that you're using AI generated images. I just feel like that's the crux here. This is where things are important. And I feel like that way about greater art as well. I feel like you should have to specify, and copyright law should have to take that into account so that people are knowledgeable when they buy. Because right now, again, we're in this limbo where the stuff isn't marked and it looks all like suspiciously so, but I also am not going to go on here and say, don't buy this person's book because it's AI generated. Because, hell, I don't know. I mean, it may be. But, until you can tell for sure, until the consumer can make these types of decisions, I do feel like it's very frustrating right now. And I don't feel like it's fair to regular artists that they can do this. So I will say that, like, I don't think it's fair at all. Do I think it's going to take away from all the hand-drawn artists and graphic designers on in coloring? No, but I don't think it's fair to those artists when these people can claim these images as their own and they don't have to specify what they are. So I will say that. But like I said, I'll probably own about 10 or a dozen or something like that, but it's just another type of coloring book I like in the grand scheme of things. Like, if you look at my bookshelf right now, it is probably 90%, 90 to 95% hand drawn. I have some stock imagery books. I have some of those like real Zen doodly type books. I have a ton of books that were published under publishers that didn't acknowledge artists, and I don't knock it. I'm not trying to be critical. I don't think, well, I'll be honest, I don't like that. Hasn't been an issue recently because they haven't put out any particular books. I've already mentioned their name once. But when they were towards the end of the artists that they had, they were printing their names in the books. And so I appreciate that. I would say if they ever get new artists and put out new books, that they list the artists. And I feel like ones like, and I'll say this for Coloring Book Cafe, I do prefer buying the Morgana Sky books because I know those are Morgana Sky. I know that might be a made up name. I hope not. But I know that that's a particular artist. So at least it's somewhat giving credit to that artist, if that makes any sense. I don't feel as good buying their other books because I don't know who the artist is. So, it makes me question. It makes me question my purchases, which is good. I feel like that's healthy for anybody to sit there and my first go-to should be, why am I buying so many damn books? I need to stop. But like the second thing is, I feel like this is good though, because this opened my eyes to really who I am buying books from and what are they giving their artist credit? Are they acknowledging these are hand drawn, or are they stock imagery, or are they, like, it is kind of making me think about it. And I feel like that's good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, don't get pissy. Boy, I'm gonna have to. This might be. This might be a reduced ad revenue kind of video because I'm really just dropping some bombs here. The YouTube algorithm's not gonna like this. Um, okay, I gotta stop. No more of it. But I'm not gonna get mad because other people don't make the same decisions I do. If I don't like it, I'm just gonna click out of the video. I'm just gonna click out of the Instagram post, and if they show a colored picture of it and I like what they did, I'm gonna like it. I mean, it's their coloring, so I just like let's just stop being nosy about other people and how they live their life, and just anyway. Okay, it's enough of that. That was real convoluted. This is why I don't do controversy, because again, this is me. This isn't me even making a blanket statement. This is me just talking about how I feel about it and how I went through the process of thinking about this and how it made me think about all this other stuff. Like, again, I could see something, an artist friend could post something in the comments and it could change my mind on this. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm completely closed minded on it either. So, um, always welcome your thoughts in the comments. And like I said, let's keep it nice and non judgmental, please. Um, and I hope I don't upset anybody with my thoughts on this. That's not my intention, but I also don't want to sit there and not be me and not, acknowledge how I feel about it because I'm afraid of offending somebody else. I don't want to do that either. Like, okay. Anyway, all right. So tomorrow I will be flipping through the Diana Good books. I have a set of 4 of those. I'm actually going to show you guys the Watercolor with Me in the Forest book that finally came through. Sunday, I'm going to have another gob of books. I think all of those are just typical books, nothing like, all from established artists. None that, I mean, well, Coco Wyo is another one that doesn't mention their artists. So, um, uh, so like, there's Coco Wyo book in that one, but like, anyway, so yeah, if I think, I don't know, and that's the thing. I'm just gonna flip through the books tomorrow. I'm not gonna make any commentary tomorrow on what I think they are until I know for sure if a book is AI generated or stock images or something like that. I'm gonna keep my comments to myself because I don't want to influence somebody who would otherwise buy the book and make them, like, oh, well, this, she says this is this, and she said that with confidence, and I don't know about any of these books. I don't know for sure. Until we have confidence in them, I'm not going to be comfortable saying something like that. So, but I'm going to flip through the books tomorrow, and we're going to go on with life. I'll have more books flipped through Sunday, and I think I'll have more books to flip through at the start of the week, y'all. So now we're going to get into the buying. I have went crazy. I went crazy. These just, my stress level and my buying level go hand in hand. Like, if my stress level's through the roof, all of a sudden shopping, I don't have the energy to color, but I have the energy to go look for coloring stuff, by goodness. And I just, so first off, we bought an elliptical. That was a big thing. But to be fair, I've wanted one of those for like, ever since I got this job. I said we were going to splurge and get one because it's easier on your knees. I have knee issues and I really need to start being more active and very slowly being more active so I don't mess things up. And, lost my train of thought. Been not sure about one for months just because reviews have been all over the place. And then I finally found a really good deal on one and just picked, was like, okay, we're getting this one. So dropped the money for that, and I had to get a more expensive one because of my big fat behind. And so exercise equipment, you got to be careful, because if you got to check and make sure on the weight limit, because a lot of that equipment that's only $100 or $200 on Amazon only can handle somebody like 200 pounds or less. And so if you're a big gal like me, you want something sturdy. And so I needed to find something that was going to accommodate my rotund self. And so I don't know when that's getting here. It's in Nashville, but they said it could take a couple days. I hope it's not a semi delivery, because on our little country road, even in town, having a semi come through is a pretty difficult thing for them. So I hope it's a smaller delivery truck. I'll have to show you guys that whenever we get it fully set up and whatnot. Um, but that, I don't know why, but that kind of just went hand in hand with everything. Like, I just, I think, like I said, it was cathartic, because it was something fun to look forward to that I could just stare at and leave in their packages on the bed right now. But next weekend, I'm gonna go ahead and do a mid-month coloring and book and supply haul, because this week I want to work on getting all the stuff swatched out and put up, because otherwise it will just sit there for a month before I end up doing anything with it. But I just, like I said, just went crazy with coloring books, and then the supplies started. And it all started because I needed a few more luminance pencils to finish out that 100 set. And I was like, well, while I'm on Blick, I want this and this. And oh, they got a sale on this. And I'm just going to go ahead and finish. If this gives you a sign of anything, I'm just going to go ahead and finish out my Copic collection. Just went nuts. Like, I can, and it's okay. And I'm very, very, very fortunate that I can. Not bragging, not trying to brag. But let me tell you right now, the honestly, sometimes I'm sitting here like, do I want all the money and the ability to buy things, or do I want my mental capacity back? And some days it's one more than the other. And but then I think that my paycheck goes towards being able to spoil the cats and spoil us and spoil Brent, and that we can build up savings and we don't have to worry about things. And so then I just say okay, and I go back to work. Oh, but I'm not gonna lie and say I don't dream about winning the lottery. um, but anyway, yeah. So I went kind of crazy on buying stuff. Some of it won't be here till the end of the month, so I'll have to just show part of it next weekend. I mean, I ordered books off Etsy. I made another Lyrica order. I think I've only bought once or twice off Lyrica up to this point, but I went ahead and bought some books off Lyrica. Like, I just picked all the sites. All the sites. I spread the wealth around. It wasn't just Amazon. I spread it around the other sites as well. So I picked up this paint gem. It's called Paint Gem, and it's these tiny little diamond paintings, and they sell them in sets of like 8 or 10 or something. And I had bought some back in December, and I have lost that box. I cannot find it. And I hope I didn't throw it away. But anyway, I ordered another set, and I thought this would be something fun me and Brent could do, because this is a space edition. So it's like all little images of space, and then you can like frame them. And I just thought it would be fun. Like I said, just buying stuff because it looks fun, getting it, and being like, I ain't got the energy to do this. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so yeah, the Copics were, I think, the big one for sure. But like I said, just I am pre-celebrating getting to this big milestone at work because I'm trying to be optimistic and think that I'm actually going to achieve this. So uh, that's been, yeah, like I said, it's been crazy, y'all. I just think I did the lyric order today, and I think for the moment I finally got it out of my system. Um, I'm sure, well, actually, there's quite a few new releases happening this month, and yes, I've already pre ordered a bunch. I think even in the start of April, like, I think Enchanted Earth from the one that did Circle of Life is going to be coming. Um, see, not yet shipped. Is it in here? Alien Worlds. The Gnome Sweet Gnome book from Teresa Goodridge, I also picked up. I'm sure there are going to be books that I don't know about that are released, and I'll pick up. Yeah, I did pick up the latest Joshua Dunbar book. He's put out a Forrest Mandalas book. That one will be here Monday, I think. So, yeah, I'll have flip throughs tomorrow. Hopefully, flip through Sunday if I actually get the books, and then maybe one on either Monday or Tuesday. Really, it's probably gonna be Tuesday. Let's be real, because I got a bunch of stuff to do Monday. So, expect a lot of flip throughs for the next few days. Um, my rheumatologist appointment. So I had to follow up my rheumatologist. It was a telehealth call, and it was about what I expected. I don't think that man really believes I'm sick. Like, it just, we got on the call, and he was like, well, your liver numbers were elevated a little, which I know. And I was like, yeah, I know. We're trying to start me on pregabalin and get me off the ibuprofen because the my main doc thinks that's what's causing liver issues. He's all like, well, no, I think it's probably more like the start of fatty liver stuff. And so I'm like, okay, so I know the next thing's going to be you need to lose weight. So I nipped that in the bud right there, because let me tell you, I don't disagree. But all my work, my liver numbers are only slightly elevated, and all my other lab work is spotless. Like my blood pressure, my heart rate, everything's fine. I know I'm at a greater risk of developing stuff because I'm overweight, but let me tell you, trust and believe right now, that cannot be a top priority for me right now. It needs to be at some point, but the simple fact that I can barely just get up and walk around and walk around the house without being in bad pain right now, like mm, just, I swear, you look at me and you probably think I eat McDonald's cheeseburgers every day, and you would be shocked to see how little I actually eat. Like, it's just, the slowdown in my stomach, just, my metabolism's all screwed up, and just the way my body digests food, like, is screwed up, and I'm not dropping any weight, even though I should be at this point. So I was like, that's a non-starter. We're not going down that route. And he's like, the rest of your numbers were fine. Now, I know that's a lie, because there was one particular number, and I looked it up. And of course, it was 8 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't thinking straight. I should have looked it up and said something to him about it. But I'll be honest, I don't think he would have even cared. But he was like, the rest of your numbers are fine. You know what his biggest thing he wants? He doesn't seem to care about how I feel. And he's not like, well, let's figure out how to make you feel better. No, his main concern was getting me off my meds. So he's like, because I told him, I'm like, well, we can take off the low dose naltrexone because I'm on pregabalin now again. And so that was what I was trying to use to replace it, and it wasn't working as well. So I don't need that. And it's not like it was doing a huge difference anyway. So he was all like, oh, good. What else can we take you off of? I'm like, nothing. Trust and believe this is a carefully curated set of meds. And I have not once asked for, and it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter whether or not I need pain meds or not. But I've not once asked for any sort of pain meds or any sort of, like, I don't like taking fistfuls of pills twice a day. I really don't. And trust and believe, if I could cut off any, I had cut back on a lot of medicine over the years, and just certain things have had to come on as I've developed other issues. And like, this is a house of cards medication issue here. Like, trust, when one of them goes awry, like my Savella, the whole house of cards falls. Like, it all falls, and it doesn't work. I'm miserable. I think that's been honestly my biggest problem. I have hurt more in the last 2 or 3 months than I have in, it feels like, years, at least in the past year. And I think a big part of that was where I had to go off my Savella because I switched doctors, and now he's only even got me at half strength on it. And I was like, actually, we're not going to talk about taking me off meds. We're going to talk about increasing my Savella, because I just can't. I mean, y'all, and I tell him this. I'm like, every day, my legs, it's down around my knees, above my knees, below my knees, they are hot. My skin is hot to the touch. Like, there is inflammation, there is pain. It doesn't matter if I'm standing up, sitting down. If I try to stretch, even mild stretching, it cranks it up to 10, and I can barely walk for 3 days. So I was like, I tell him these things, and it's like he doesn't believe me, y'all. I mean, he really doesn't. Like, I guess he's just assumed because I'm fat and I've been diagnosed with fibro that he doesn't have to look any deeper. He doesn't have to be bothered. And it's just, I feel bad for myself, but I really feel bad for the rest of his patients, because he is a dick. And the only reason I'm keeping him is because my other doctors at the other location weren't really any better. I would tell them multiple times things were wrong, and it'd take like a year to get them to actually pay attention, or I'd have to get another doctor involved. He allows telehealth appointments, which is a huge deal for me, especially because I didn't have to miss any work for this appointment. So that's like a huge deal. Plus, I don't have to go out. And I don't know, maybe he made an assumption for me because I was wearing a mask too. Maybe he thinks I'm concerned about my health. How dare I? I'm concerned about getting anything else that's going to make my conditions worse. And I'm too tired to get super riled up about it at this point. I'm just in a exhausted acceptance at this point, and that's the third reason. I do not have the energy. It is not a priority at this time to try to find another doctor. It took me 6 months to get in to see him, and I just don't have the energy to try to find somebody else right now. So he kept trying to push me, and I just dug in my heels. I said, I'm not going to change my meds. And he's like, well, how do you want your meds handled? Do you want, and this is where he was trying to take him over. And I was like, I want my general doctor to have all the meds that he currently is managing. Because mind you, these were not meds that a rheumatologist prescribed me. These were ones that a cardiologist prescribed me and my general practice doctor prescribed me. And and again, I even tried. He's like, okay, you take baclofen 20 milligrams twice a day. That could be leading to your fatigue, so maybe you should cut it back to 10 milligrams a day. I don't dismiss his concerns entirely, y'all. I tried that. I tried that for about a month and a half. And my chest, which is the main reason I use that, got so sore and so tight because I have constant tension in my chest area, because that's where I carry all my stress, that, my upper back. And that's where sometimes I feel like I'm having a heart attack because I get that costochondritis flare up or whatever, which, again, he completely dismissed. Well, some people think they have inflammation. No, dude. You put your hand on my chest, which sounds weird. You can feel the heat. It is effing inflammation. Like, I am not making this up. Anyway, I tried it. I tried it for like 2 months, actually. And it didn't work, so I had to go back to 20. So I don't take his concerns I don't just dismiss them outright because I don't like them. Like, I do genuinely, like, think about it. But what makes me mad is when I give him a educated response. Like, he doesn't give me the same consideration. He's not listening to me like I'm listening to him. And yes, I know he's the doctor and he makes the big bucks, but I've also been around the block with myself for about 10 years, and I know when something's wrong, and I know how my body feels. So here I am cleaning up this picture. I'm about to show you guys the final picture. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. This was my very first picture in this book, and real pleased with how it come out. I didn't feel good today, but I wanted to finish this picture, and I wanted to be able to get my coloring chat up tonight because I have videos I need to do tomorrow and Sunday, and so I wasn't super enjoying finishing this picture, but I'm glad it's done now, and I think it looks really good. So very pleased with that, and going to back this out here, and then you guys will see the finished picture in slightly yellower light, but not as shiny. But anyway, so I was like, no, my regular doctor's going to handle all my meds but the Savella. He's like, well, he can handle the Savella too. He said, but sometimes the insurance companies want, the specialists to sign off on meds. And I said, okay, hold on, wait a minute. You are going to do the Savella refills because that's the main one I have problems with. No insurance wants to cover that med because there's no generic and it's expensive. And so I fight with them every year, and I have to get pre-authorizations and stuff. Probably going to have to get another pre-authorization on this because he increased the dosage. I told him to increase the dosage on this. I said, in fact, we're not going to cut on meds, we're going to increase. I told him, I said, I'd like for you to keep the Savella and refill it because I know the insurance company will likely want a specialist to sign off on that. So he said, okay. So he's like, okay, I'll just see you in a year. That was it. As far as he was concerned, even though I said I was feeling awful, he just wanted to wash his hands of me. And I was like, you know what? That's fine. As long as you refill my Savella at this point, I'm going to get better care from my general practitioner, nurse practitioner over here at this little clinic than I am going to be from you making who knows what each year. So you can just go stuff yourself, and as long as you refill my Savella, then fine. I'm just not going to assume you give three rats butts about me. So anyway, I was mad, but I was too tired to really get super upset about it. It's just, again, sort of an exhausted acceptance at this point. Until until the next time something major happens that I get a fire lit under me to try to find somebody else to figure it out. I swear, I am so fearful of going through all this and having this develop into MS and like nobody caring enough to look and see if it's something other than fibro and just me missing out on years of treatment. Like, I just can't tell y'all how much that terrifies me. Anyway, so there's that. Cats were hanging in there. Sid's looking a little rough the last few days. She's been eating and she hasn't been coming in here with me like she usually does. But I mean, she's been around my husband some. She's been sleeping a little bit more on her own. She does sleep at night in the bed with us now at the very end of the bed, which I think's sweet. I have all the girls usually in the bed at night with me now. She'll sleep at the end. Scamper will sleep kind of on my legs, and Winry will try to get up on my chest because she's jealous over Scamper. And it's sweet because they're not normally social cats, so I do appreciate that, and I do indulge them. But I mean, they're getting their meds. Like I said, Sid does seem to have not felt real good the last few days, so I'm just hoping. I'm just assuming it's because she's got a tumor in her stomach, and she is going to get to feeling worse as time goes on, and it's just something I got to be prepared for. Scamper's still thriving, still hanging in there. Still a little worried about her legs. Just her back end seems to be kind of willy nilly right now. Where she, when she walks, you can tell, like, and I know some of it's got to be the gabapentin, but I'm not sure that's all the problem. But like when she jumps up, she can jump up on stuff fine, but she's a little, like, when she goes around corners too fast, that back end kind of skids out like on her a little bit, and she just is a little wobbly. And I have to be careful. I'm really worried, like she's gonna, fall from a big height or something and hurt herself. That's the biggest thing I worry about. But I cannot keep that cat from jumping up on stuff. It's just not gonna happen. It's just no. No. But she seems to be hanging in there and doing all right. She does every couple of days seem like she does get sick, and the Serenium, I don't know if it really helps the anti-nausea med because like that, she hates that so much she almost throws up out of spite. So I don't know. I try not to give that to her too often. Now the problem this week has been Leroy. Leroy has started throwing up, and we don't know why. And he's a big boy, but even a big cat that stops eating and is not eating as much, it's still, you still have to worry about it because their potassium can dip down. They can develop heart murmurs. They can develop, like, I can't remember what it's called. It's something to do with their liver, where they don't eat a few days. Like, it's different than a dog. Like, cats can really get even sicker if they don't eat for a few days. The doc sent home some meds with him because he does this occasionally, just because he's a lemon cat. And we gave him a higher dose of the Serenity today, and then he threw up half hour after that. But he's been real quiet today. He's been up on my desk a lot, just not being his normal Leroy self. So he hasn't even had his amitriptyline, because there's no sense in it if he's not. He only gets amitriptyline when he is acting like a wired up, anxious fool, and that's. So I don't know what's causing it. I don't know if it's food. I don't know if it's amitriptyline. I don't know. So we're gonna see how he does through the weekend with meds, and if he starts throwing up again next week or he doesn't get any better, we're just gonna have to take him in and get him checked out. So I hate it. I'm real worried about him. He's my youngest boy, and he's got his own host of problems. And when he gets like this, it's real hard to get him out of the throwing up. He just seems like he has a real sensitive stomach, and he's so limited in what he wants to eat. Like, it's difficult. It's just real difficult. So, okay. Well, I have talked for an hour and a half, and I think I'm all talked out now. Just been bottling up a lot of stuff for a couple weeks. It is Friday night, and boy, it just don't feel like, I'm like, it's just another night. I don't have to work this weekend, so thank goodness for that. But I do want to go get some food because, again, well, I did eat some cereal today. I've been eating so much like kids cereal, y'all. That is my weakness. Yes, we hear you. Beer is howling. And I know that's not good for me, but y'all, it just, again, it's just not been a priority right now. It's just been getting calories in my body and feeling good for a brief moment so that I can go to sleep and get up and do it all again tomorrow. It's just been surviving right now. Again, I don't think there's anything else I can think of offhand. So yeah, gonna try to post this tonight, even though if it's a little late. I'm sure some of y'all will see it Saturday morning. Tomorrow I'll have flip throughs of the Diana Good books. Sunday I'll have flip throughs about 5 different books. Coco Weil, Alexandra Franzese, Alexandra Daneman, Circulism book, and I can't remember what the other one was offhand. And then I'm getting a bunch of books on Monday. A couple of them are older books that I just went ahead and picked up to have. Huh. Okay, there it is. Thought I lost one. And anyway, so yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you like the finished picture. Um, we'll do, like I said, a bunch of flip throughs this weekend. Next weekend, I'd like to do. I gotta get done with this coloring book collection at some point. Maybe we do that, the magic box marker review, and then the coloring supply thing next weekend. Maybe that's what we do. So, anyway, I'm tired, y'all. I gotta go. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.